had one girl tell me, like, just do whatever you want and then I'll tell you afterwards if I liked it. It's like, absolutely not. What are you talking about? I'm not playing sexual minesweeper with you.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
When your mission is beyond missionary, step up your game with Liberator. Their collection of transformable sex furniture and sex toy mounts will put you in sexual positions you never thought were possible. Use promo code MANWHORE and save 40% off the best-selling Wedge Ramp combo at Liberator.com.
Welcome to the Man-Whore Podcast.
Sometimes you gotta keep the gangbang group chat honest. I'm in a Telegram group chat for what's kind of become a biannual gangbang. And with this very, very beautiful woman here in New York, and her partner runs the group chat. Well, we don't use it very often, but the other day it pinged with a new message from one of the guys in the group. I don't know this man. I mean, if you show me a picture of him or his penis, I might go, oh yeah, that guy. And he sent a message that said, any word on another event coming up? I'd love to see everyone again. I said, don't lie to all of us. You're excited to see one person again. The rest of us, you'll just tolerate so long as your balls are in her mouth. Come on now, be real. I just wanted to share that with you. This week on the podcast, we have got on comedian Marty Cunnie. He's a boy I know here in New York who's gotten over a couple of big breakups. Maybe I'll learn something. We're talking about getting over breakups. We're talking about some kink. We're talking about, non-monogamy. Do you need it? Do you gotta have it? Could you live without it? This is a fun chat between the boys. This is part of the Billy with the Boys bundle, as I seek to create some semblance of male friendships. And I'm excited to share Marty with you all in just a little bit. First, real quick, the Naked Comedy Shows, another double sellout success. One of the best nights I think we've had. Even I crushed it a couple of times. So I'm excited for the next one, February 23rd. Look out in your email inboxes for tickets to be on sale. Right now, tickets are on sale February 17th for Impact. Impact is the kinky comedy show we did back in August. All the stand-ups, we're going to tell our jokes while we share the stage with a BDSM scene. It's a very fun time over at Star Bar in Bushwick, February 17th. Ticket link in the schnotes or at manwhorepod.com. The Man-Whore Podcast did not win an AVN award on Saturday night, but I do want to thank everybody for voting. Some of you were very, very enthusiastic and repetitive with your voting, and I appreciate the efforts. I would like to think, I'm just going to pretend we got a close second place to Plug Talk. So congratulations to Lena and her co-host, and shout out to everyone who nominated me, because I didn't even ask to be nominated. So that was cool in and of itself. Before I get to Marty Cunnie, let's do a quick fan whore appreciation moment. This is the part of the show where I like to give a shout out to some of the members of my fan whore community on Patreon. Patreon is the best way you can support me and the work that I'm doing here. And this fella, he signed up for a whole year-long membership and enjoying a little discount with it. Big thank you to Abe. Buddy, in addition to your membership fee, any chance you could check my breaks? If I send you a picture of my brake pads, can you just give me your opinion? I'd really appreciate that. Thanks, buddy, for supporting the Man Whore Podcast. I hope you enjoy those bonus episodes all year round. And you too can become a member for as little as $2 a month. With thousands of you out there, each of your $2 can go a long way when we put you all together. Become a member today. Support the podcast you love at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. This week's guest, Marty Cunnie, he's become a favorite recently at the Naked Comedy Show. Dude is a fucking crusher. So funny. I could sense for a few months now, like, this is a guy I want to talk to. Big cat guy. If you watch his Instagram stories, big on the cats. A guy with a dog, that could be anyone. A guy with multiple cats, there's something good about that guy, I think. Let's go talk about love and breakups and choking chicks out with Marty Cunnie. Consensually, just if you're new here, settle down. Consensual choking. We talk about it, but we're not crazy. We're not just choking chicks just 'cause. That's psychotic. Now I'm thinking I should title this episode "Consensually Choking Chicks with Marty Cunnie," but I don't think he would like that very much. I don't know if that would play very well. I'll think of something else. All right, I'll shut my mouth. Got to do a couple ads. I need a little bit of your ad revenue time, pay some bills. And then we're going to chat with Marty. The green room for the Naked Comedy Show at Hacienda is basically an orgy storage room, okay? We're surrounded by condoms and lube and puppy pads and sex furniture. And backstage Friday night at the Naked Comedy Show, there's the Liberator's S Lounger is just casually tucked up on a shelf. And one of the comedians, she recognized it and was like, yeah, my parents have Liberator products. Some of the funniest comedians in New York City have parents who are fucking with Liberator. Yes, my sponsor this week. It's the fuck furniture known by all families. So funny. The comedian, she said, yeah, my mom was telling me she needs to get a new one of their wedges. I'm like, oh, promo code manwhore will get them 40% off the wedge ramp combo. No big deal. Tell mom. Liberator's innovative line of products makes sex more comfortable, putting you in new positions, and this all makes sex last longer. They also sell sex toy mounts, squirt-proof blankets, bondage gear, and more. Head on over to Liberator.com, level up your sex game, and liberate your sex lives, people. And if Tracy's mom is listening, click the link at the top of the notes, get 40% off their wedge ramp combo with promo code manwhore. Again, that's Liberator.com. How did the date on Friday go?
Well, we went to do karaoke, and it was fun. Karaoke is probably one of my favorite things. And it was a second date. I've taken first dates on karaoke, and I think that might be a little aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a lot of aggressive first dates. I had a second date do a podcast with me one time. That was a bad idea.
Wait, why? Huh?
Yeah, this
was it your podcast?
No, it was someone else's. Yeah, it was a bad idea in retrospect. It was fun, but actually, I don't think we did go on another date after that. And I think the reason that day didn't go so well is because I was farting the whole time, because we got some Chinese food or something beforehand, and I just couldn't stop farting the whole way through Mission Impossible 6 or 5, whatever the one was with Henry Cavill.
And she could tell?
I couldn't imagine she couldn't. I mean, it wasn't loud, but it was I can smell these. And
wait, but what was how'd the podcast date come about?
So I told her, I was like, hey, we can meet and then grab drinks or whatever, but I got a podcast afterwards. And she's like, oh, okay. And at the date, I was like, if you want to tag along for the podcast, you can do the podcast with me. And she thought that I meant watch me do the podcast, which is that's also kind of a weird date.
Yes.
But she was along for that. And I was like, when I got there, I was like, I had asked the guy beforehand. I don't know if do you know David Cooper?
I don't know.
He does radio stuff. So I was like, I'd message him beforehand being like, oh, I have this date. She's coming along. And he's like, bring her. We'll put her on the thing. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll ask her if she wants to do it. So when I asked, I guess, I wasn't super clear. I was like, hey, you're going to be talking to me the whole time. And it was still kind of fun because he did a good job of it was like having some direct your conversation between two strangers.
Was he like he's conducting the date?
Pretty much.
Okay, that's awkward.
It was, but it was fun because he's funny and we have a good rapport, me and him. And so I mean, she went on another date with me after that. So either she has terrible judgment or I did a good job.
Or both?
Or both. I mean, a little bit A, a little bit of B, never hurt anybody. But yeah, that was what, that was, yeah, so I won't do that again. But I'd say every time I've taken I think my like success rate for second dates after taking a first date to karaoke or first date to a comedy show is probably 50-50.
Well, I feel like both are terrible. Like comedy show, I think is a terrible first date.
Yes.
I think it's different if are you talking about comedy shows you're on or
Yes.
just like the hang?
Comedy shows I'm on.
I tell like civilians like a comedy show is a terrible first date because you don't get to be funny and other people could be funnier than you.
Yeah.
And like she might end up wanting to fuck the comic, one of the comics more than you at the end of it.
Yeah, and it's like taking someone to go see a movie where they can drink with the actors afterwards.
Exactly that.
It's like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving them entertainment and then you're giving them the entertainers. Like, but if you're on the show, I was like, oh, well, then, it's also like, I'm not doing this to anybody that I really think I have like a future with. It's like, let's just see what happens. If they like it, whatever. It's a fast track to my sense of humor, which sometimes it's like I'm not exactly comfortable getting right into with somebody. I would say that like first date, you get like the sanest version of me and things get more and more off the rails as things go on. Whereas first date comedy show, you get to see a little bit off the rails right off the bat.
Well, second date karaoke on Friday seemed to be going well enough that I had a dropout on the Naked Comedy Show, and I was texting you to see if you want to. And it was after I'd already filled the spot. But he said, she's game. To come watch me do naked stand up for a second date. She,
because our first date we went well, and she was. I think we kind of were good about communication. Like we were both on the same page. Of like neither of us are looking for anyone to like commit a date right now.
Okay.
And so we kind of knew what the end goal of this second date, third date was going to be. And it's like, well, that was the kind of line I said to her. Is like, she's like, yeah, I'm down for it. I was like, yeah, I guess the goal is seeing me naked anyways. Like, might as well watch me get paid for it. So she was down, and it would have been fun, but unfortunately, I didn't.
Well, you were cautious at first. You said, I think that might be too aggressive. I still think watching you do naked comedy is a less aggressive early date than karaoke.
You think watching me? Oh, okay. Well, I disagree. Because karaoke is like, it's just, in fact, I think it's, or as a second date. First date karaoke is a little too much because I think it's like, you're putting a lot of pressure on the other person, at least as a guy. If a girl took me karaokeing for the first date, I think it'd be great if that was her suggestion. But as a guy, I mean, like, all right, now you've got to sing something. It's like, well, maybe she's not into that. I don't know her well enough. And so that could be like a weird amount of pressure, at least in my experience with the ones I've taken people on. But second date is great because it's kind of like, all right, we've gotten all the introduction stuff out of the way. We got like all the conversation about who we are and siblings and blah, blah, blah. And so now let's do something fun.
Okay.
So.
But as far as like doing something fun goes, like karaoke is like asking someone to get so vulnerable in the fun because you kind of have to like not take yourself seriously. You have to really like strip something down.
But I don't really want to be with anyone who's taking themselves that seriously.
Okay.
I mean, or at least my track record with people who do take themselves that seriously is not that great. And it's like, that's fine with me.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Why are you not looking for something serious right now?
So I just moved to New York.
Didn't that breakup happen 7 years ago? So
that was a different one. So I have two breakups. If we're talking about like the major events of my life, is that I had out of college a 6-year relationship that ended, and that's when I started comedy. And then I had a relationship through COVID that was about a 4-year relationship, and that one ended first week of 2022. And so I had already been kind of thinking about, me and her had been talking about like moving to another city, and I won't get too into that, but basically like I was like, I should still try living somewhere else because like I kind of feel like I'm banging my head against a wall living in the same place I grew up, and should just try something else. And New York made the most sense stand-up wise. And so one of the lessons I learned from the two breakups was that like I very much was afraid of being single because I was afraid of being alone, and alone with my thoughts, and like I wasn't good at being by myself. And so I kind of like, I was like, this year I'm really focused, at least I've really been focused on like being okay by myself. So that was kind of like the last like year and a half, 2 years was like, okay, like get my head straight, worked on like meditation, therapy, journaling, stuff like that, so that I'm a little more comfortable being on my own. And then the second part of like why I still want to stay single, like even after I feel like I'm doing a better job of that, is that I think another problem was that with the reason I moved to New York is to try stand up as a career, right? Like this is to see if this will actually work out as something that I can pursue. Like, do I have what it takes? Am I that interested to like pursue it through the shitty parts, and so, like through not making money, which is like kind of the main thing, right?
It's a big part of New York comedy.
Yeah. And like, do I want to like, how long do I want to keep a day job and try to do comedy too? Like, can I like really commit to it? Like, what does that look like for me? And so as I'm figuring all that out, I kind of realized that like one of the issues with the last relationship was that I wasn't really sure what I was doing with comedy. And therefore, like doing this thing that takes so much of my time, it'd be hard to say to like a potential partner being like, hey, I'm doing all this and I'm not really sure what the reason is. You know what I mean? Like,
you didn't even know like why you were doing it.
Well, I knew I liked stand up when I was doing it at the time, but I knew I like, and I'd said to everybody, like, I'm not really taking this seriously as a career. I just really like doing it. And when she's like, if you're not doing this seriously for a career, like you're not doing anything else. Like you're all your spare time is like doing comedy stuff.
If it's going to be hobbyist aspirations, it should only get a hobbyist amount of your time.
Exactly. And so that is, and I was kind of like, when I wasn't really in a great headspace either. So it was like comedy was my escape from like being by myself. Right. And so that was another thing that like came about with that. And so I think, the reason is that I didn't really have a direction for what was happening with me with comedy, and because I never really set long-term goals. And so now I'm trying to say, all right, if comedy is, I want to figure out what comedy looks like for me. It's like, this is how much of my time you can expect to get as a partner because of comedy. Yeah. And like, if you spend time with me at comedy, great. But that's a lot to ask of somebody. Right. Yeah. And so, I really want to get that sorted before I like really seek relationship. And this is also the first time in my life I've enjoyed being single. And so being a single in a new city, I didn't want to jump into something. I wanted to like explore the options here, see what's different, and then, see what I want going forward. So that's kind of the reason.
And with the last girlfriend, was there like some future planning, like whether it be family or I know you said
and that was part of the issue is that like
you don't know what the future of this is. It's like, how can you plan what the family or anything like that would be? Another cat. I don't.
No, we had 4 cats, and that was insane.
Wait, you had 4 cats together?
Yeah, because
how many did you each?
Yeah, I had these 2, and she had 2.
Okay, so y'all got to part with your own cats.
Oh God, it was 3. And we moved in together 3 days before the pandemic started. So, it was her first time living with a partner, and so it was like we had the tension of that. And then the tension of these cats that just fucking hated each other. They were fighting all the time. And like you just wake up and there'd just be like hair all over, not hairballs, but like tufts of hair all over the apartment. It's like, oh, I know what happened last night. These guys were kicking the shit out of each other. And then the woman that lived above us worked in pet rescue. She was the landlord. And so she had like, at any given time, she had like 12 animals up there. And so it was a bit of a madhouse to like be locked in together. So like, I'm sure that didn't help with like the strain of the relationship. But, the cats fucking hated each other. But
when you said if I got the timeline kind of right, 7-ish years ago, there's that big breakup, and then you got with this one like 4 years ago. So there's like maybe roughly 3 years in between where you're single-ish.
I'd say like a year and a half to 2 years in between the 2 relationships where I was single.
And that's like kind of an angsty time of like going around dating, being single.
Yeah, it wasn't really, not a lot of success in dating because I was really like not well put together. I don't know.
You weren't. Oh, do tell.
I think I was just like a bit underconfident. I also I grew out my beard and I had really long hair. I look crazy. I look like a crazy person. And
so San Francisco, you look like you were a native. You look like
I could have been. Yeah, I could have been a problem that wandered in from the street to do comedy, which is what you got in a lot of San Francisco open mics. And so
they still have that one at the radio station.
Oh, that place just closed.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
That felt like the place where if I was going to like have a random homeless person at the mic, it felt like it was there.
The guy smoked heroin on stage there one time.
Oh my. What?
Yeah. Well, he was a homeless comic. He was actually kind of funny. But yeah, he did that. He sure did that at the Mutiny Radio Comedy Festival. He smoked heroin on stage. Zach Wiseman was his name.
You remember?
Oh no, I mean, I was friendly with him, but he was like, I think he was one of those guys that like actually had like a decent education, a decent background, and like fell into like addiction and stuff like that.
Okay.
And but he was. Yeah, he would like sell art and stuff on the street, and he was a mess.
And you were like kind of visually a mess at the time too. It seems like
Not as big of a mess as him, but like I was still somewhat put together. But I wasn't super confident, and I would say that like
you were as buff as back
yeah,
then?
I was saying, I mean, I was probably maybe a little heavier, but like not a lot.
Okay,
and I was still playing rugby, so I was like still like fit for that.
And funny, you're on stage.
Yeah, not as funny as I am now.
You weren't as funny. Okay, well, yeah, that says a lot because I'm here right now with the really fucking funny.
Well, this was
can't stop telling everybody around town. Comedian Marty Cunnie. How long? 13 minutes in.
Year one comedy. You know, it's not good for anybody. But it was also like, I was just not in a great place mentally, and so I think I just wasn't like I was never particularly good at dating before I had a girlfriend. And now I was like, I'm single in my late 20s, but I just didn't do a very good job of it. Okay. And so, for example, taking a woman to podcast on the second date. So, thinking things like that were a good idea. So I just, I don't know. I think part of comedy too, and I've mentioned this to people before, is that like it kind of helped me self-realize a lot. I felt more comfortable in my own skin because I was like, it was so important for me to be authentic on stage. And like me being authentic myself and people liking that kind of like gave me a lot more self-confidence as well. And so it's been kind of like a good feedback loop for me. People that know me from comedy know me because I'm like generally wearing like loud outfits on stage and stuff like that. But I mean, that was not really like that. I do that off stage too. Like that's how I dress normally, but it wasn't like that before I started comedy. I think that I was, this is a little psychoanalysis, but I think I was, my personality type is that I generally am trying to be accepted by whatever group I'm being a part of. So
same,
not unusual for most people. Yeah. And so like, if I'm hanging out with rugby guys, I'm, wearing whatever they're wearing. If I'm hanging out with like, my theater friends, whatever they're wearing, but like in comedy, there's not like a uniform that people wear. There's not like a set. There's not like, no, but there's no like one, except, we had a joke that like jean jackets was huge in San Francisco in comedy for a minute. But like, besides stuff like that, like there's not like a mold to fit into in comedy. In fact, you shouldn't fit into a mold in comedy. That's kind of the whole point. Right. And so I think that kind of like forced me to kind of forge my own identity a lot more. And it's been good for me. So in that, I think once you have that, and then you take that to the dating world, like that's a level of like, self-confidence and self-actualization that people see that and they connect to it.
I went through a phase of doing the jacket over a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Suit jacket over t-shirt on stage.
Yeah. I think I did.
And
that
I also brought
too.
that off stage to my dates.
Oh man.
Still not sure how. I still think
it's not a terrible look. I don't know. I did that for a little bit too. I think I did. I do blazer with a Hawaiian under it, which I still think is
that's
okay.
Very bold.
Yeah, I still think that's okay, but not to like a first date. That's for fucking sure. I still do tame down like what I wear to a first date. I'll still wear like a loud-ish shirt, but it's like more commonly loud versus like some of the stuff that I have, which is a little more, I don't know, different.
Okay.
Like I won't wear like the leopard print bowling shirt, but I'll wear like maybe like a slightly psychedelic Hawaiian shirt or something because that's a little more common these days.
Well, yeah, it shows like this guy's clearly got some kind of personality.
Yeah, or somewhat. I don't know.
Something. It stood out to me when you said like this is the first time in your life, and I think that's why I was trying to do some of the timeline math because you're like this is the first time I'm like comfortable being single, and right now like I went through a breakup. It sounds like around the same time as you. For this recent one, so a couple years back, and this is the first time in my life I am uncomfortable. I hate being single. I don't like it. I'm craving connection more than I ever have before, and I was surprisingly really good at dating and meeting people and going out and having things, but like, I have not found the Zen, or maybe I had it and I lost it. It's so it's interesting to hear you're like, no, now I'm good and ready.
I don't know. I mean, it's don't get me wrong. I'm still, if all things had gone to plan, I wouldn't be single. You know, like that's not, I'm not, oh,
What you want?
I'm never single because I always have her. But yeah, my little fucking polycule with the other one back there.
What, I mean, like, what were you doing? What's some of that self work that you were doing? I think you mentioned meditation.
Yeah, mostly just like meditation, journaling. Because I think with meditation, I had started therapy during the pandemic because who fucking didn't. But journaling. I realized was like I have a real problem. I have a very short emotional memory. Whereas like I don't remember what I was feeling like a year ago. You know, I don't remember how things felt, like what I was worried about. I don't remember like the mental state I was in. And like I can remember general like, oh yeah, I remember this area of life I was like generally depressed, but like I can't remember specifics. And so started a journal and like just kind of jot down like, for when I first started it was like maybe twice a week. Now I've gone to like once a week. And it's mostly just about like making sure I understand here's what happened this week. And that's a big thing for me because like sometimes the passage of time just feels like it just flies by. And so if I ever feel like I'm like, how the fuck did this month just go by? I'll take a look back at the journal and be like, oh yeah, look at all this stuff that happened, and that helps me a lot. But also like occasionally I'll just like, if I'll go back and read like the last 3 months and just be like, man, look at this stuff that I was worried about and seemed like the worst thing in the world at the time. And now I'm here. And at this point in life, I don't even remember that thing at all. Like it just kind of, it's a good reminder to me of like how impermanent a lot of our problems are and a lot of our mindset are and a lot of our, our mental state is. And that, basically everything's impermanent and that everything passes and that, the next thing's coming and to also try to live in the moment, which is what the meditation and stuff is about, is the mindfulness aspect of it, of, enjoying everything in the moment and not so worried about like the fact that I am, not where I thought I'd be so many years ago, and at this point in life, if you'd asked me where I was at 22, where I'd be at 35, it's like, oh yeah, house, kids, partner, blah, blah, blah. And I don't have any of that, but like, it's easier for me not to be depressed about it. Cause it's like, well, I'm still enjoying the moment and I know these things didn't happen for a reason. And that, had I been with any of those people, like it probably wouldn't be that good, So like to like, getting myself into that like accepting mindset and just thinking about going forward rather than still learning from mistakes of the past, but accepting that they happened because they had to that way. There's really no other option. There's no other way they could have happened. And so accepting where I am now. And so that's a big part of it, is just like the accepting the moment and experiencing the moment, and then using that acceptance to like build towards a better future for myself.
But for now it's like nothing serious. Still, like, don't need anything serious yet.
Yeah, I mean, if I met somebody and it was like, oh my God, like this is, clearly like the kind of person that I would connect with and, need, and we have a similar vision and we work really well together and this person is understanding to like my needs and I'm understanding to her needs. Like, yeah, but isn't
that how it always is? I feel like so like anytime any serious relationship I've been in, I met them in some sort of like unplanned, wasn't looking for anything serious fashion. It's like no one's looking for like I'm not really looking until I come across somebody and then I go, whoa, you're definitely it.
I would say, I don't know. I'd say my first relationship, I was very much like when I met her, we were friends for a little while before we started hooking up, and I was very much like I like this person a lot. And it was like, as soon as we started hooking up, it was like, okay, like this seems pretty legit, like, and I wasn't the only thing that was kind of like the hiccup for me was that, we were graduating college and she was moving back to LA and I was staying in San Francisco. I was like, oh, I can do long distance until we, hopefully figure it out. And she ended up moving back to San Francisco for work. And so it worked out for me that way. But, in my second relationship, I mean, like I said, I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was like latching onto anything. I knew that I wanted to be with somebody that I connected well with, and me and her we had a great connection. And so, like, I wouldn't say it was entirely just like it came out of the blue. I was still searching for somebody more purposefully than I am now. So I would say like the mindset is different. And I think that because I'm, projecting that that's like what I'm advertising to other people. I think, if anybody was looking for something serious, then they're probably not, then it's like I'm being very clear. It's like, hey, we can, see if we have a connection, but for the moment, the commitment's not there.
Okay. Yeah, just properly setting expectations.
Yeah, and the phrase "casually seeking something serious," everyone says that, and it's like, yeah, I am casually seeking if something serious comes up, great, but I'm not focused on it right now because I want to get my head straight on this goal first because I'm kind of new to goal setting,
Okay.
So I'm trying to like focus on that now.
Huh. Surprising, and I feel like I'm getting this more sentimental, emotionally intelligent version of Marty, who I previously, like when I first did I reach out to you about the show, or did you reach out to me?
I hit you up on Reddit.
That's what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
And my impression of you in a positive way was like, this guy fucks, because I think the first clip I saw was
the clips I put up are. I mean, obviously the ones that do best are the most outrageous ones, right?
Well,
And
you had a very edgy, very controversial clip. I think the first joke I saw of yours where you acknowledged the female orgasm. Whoa, watch out.
yeah, and really rubbed some people the wrong way.
And apparently I feel the right.
Yeah. But yeah, oh man, what was that? I'm trying to remember that one. Oh yeah,
The one where like the taser.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I've never. Oh, did I post that one?
Well, I think then whenever I got to your
Yeah, because I've never
your
posted. I don't
Instagram
think
or
I've ever
whatever.
posted the full version of that.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, I've posted like the lead into it. But yeah, I mean, so much of my stuff is about sex.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of that was written when I was dating somebody. So it was like, but like now I have like sex stuff to talk about otherwise. And it's, I am definitely like, I tell people that as like, I am myself turned up to 11 on stage. Like
Okay.
if I was like that all the time, I would be fucking insufferable, and not maybe not to everybody, but like to me, I would be, I'm like not, I don't know. It's funny because I always thought of myself as this like super outgoing person. And one of my time, my ex was like, oh, like, she's like, yeah, but it probably, I forget what she said, but it basically said like, oh yeah, you're kind of like more the silent type. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I kind of realized that like, yeah, until like, it's kind of like once you get me going, once you get me wound up, sure, but I'm not like, you got to wind me up.
But
first.
otherwise, you're hanging around like with the cats. When I started watching the Instagram story regularly, I started picking up like this dude's home alone with his cats.
Well, I work from
like,
home.
yeah.
So like, I work from home out all evenings. So like I am just, here by myself, just fucking with the cats all day.
But like, I think like, like also like when the first time you come to do the naked show and like your comfort, like being in what our green room is an orgy storage room where there's like an upside down, like Liberator S lounger, just like being tucked
there's
in the back.
like every like piece of furniture on there. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is all right.
But like between
bunch of mattresses,
Bay Area, the buff thing, that fucking mustache and the deep voice, I was like, this dude, like, I don't know. I had this like perception. He was like, I don't know. I feel like he's some sort of like kinky sex party weirdo in San Francisco. Like I would be able to buy that.
Yeah, I've definitely like, that assumption has been made about me a lot.
Have the women who made that assumption been disappointed?
No, I mean, because like, I don't think anybody like, I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
Okay. She won't.
Okay.
Ka, get over here.
So catty.
Yeah, she's a little fussy, but I don't know. I think I don't think anybody assumes anything out of me right away, but like I do tend to attract, at least in the last couple of years, definitely people on the more kinky side, which has been great. It's been a fun thing to explore. Actually, I wouldn't say explore. I mean, my first girlfriend was very much so, and like kind of brought me out of like, I wouldn't say I was in a shell, but sex was pretty normal for me all through college up until with her, we kind of started to get more into like, roles together. And that started kind of turning the dial up, you know what I mean? And And my last girlfriend was also yes, but like not so much.
Okay.
You know? So the first girlfriend, I'll be specific since it's
Yeah.
she was very sub, right? She really wanted to be dominated, and I was like, you know, like in the vein of like, oh, always be respectful of the woman. Like it was kind of hard to get out of that mindset, but it was like, but eventually it was just kind of like, oh, like making someone else feel good through doing this is fun. You know, it's just like it's a fun thing to do in the bedroom. It's like if the other person likes it, I'm into it. And because I was doing that for so long, it's like, oh, this is now my thing too, I guess. And so it kind of turned into my thing. Like the first time she asked me to like spit in her face, I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, huh? But then like I remember one time she like showed me a porn. It was like a pretty extreme like domination porn. And I was just like, oh, she really wants it. Like, and she's like, and I think she was saying, in my mind, I was like, oh, she wants something along this vein. She's like, no, she wants this.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, okay. And so it was just kind of like, you know, started, and that wasn't like stuff that I watched a lot. And so it was kind of like, oh, like,
it was or it wasn't?
Wasn't.
Right.
So it was kind of like, oh, so like started learning to like push limits and see what she likes. And, you know, ended up, you know, buying more toys, experimenting with, you know, different stuff. And, yeah, I mean so like it just turned into like first long-term girlfriend was, you know, pretty extreme sub. And so I think that was kind of hard thing was like when I was single is like kind of turning off the like that's the base level.
Yeah, like waiting to be like I gotta wait for someone else to turn that back on.
Yeah. And so like one or two hookups, it was just kind of like, oh right, shit, don't do that to people. You know, like you know, and like, you know, ask everything first, blah blah blah. That was kind of a hard one to unlearn, you know, but you know, I think now I'm a little more in a better place to like, you know, discuss that stuff up front. I have a better system about it.
It gets annoying to me because there's some people who they want that or they think they want like something kinky or subby like that, but they don't want to have the conversation up front because they're like, well, it's going to turn me off. I was like, well, then we're not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to choke you out if we can't talk about it when our clothes are fucking on.
I just wish, you know, obviously there's so many like sites and like, you know, they'll be like, oh yeah, check all the boxes of the stuff you like. And yeah, that makes it easy. But like a lot of people just aren't comfortable doing that. And I'm like, well, then you have to broach the subject because like I'm not just going to throw a fucking laundry list of stuff at you so you can check boxes. It's like that's a bit I've been trying to work on is that like everybody says like this is like such an sexually adventurous society we're in now, but like sometimes you'll ask people what they're into and they're like, I don't know, everything. And you're like, I bet that's not fucking
then
true.
you say three things and they go like, well, oh, not that and not that.
well,
I'm
then
like,
you're
okay,
not
then
in everything.
fucking answer the question the first time.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, like I'm trying to do the right thing here and like you're not helping. Like and I understand like I don't expect everyone to be like, oh, I know everything I'm perfectly into, but just don't say everything.
Yeah,
you know.
Anytime they say everything but blood shit and piss,
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty base level.
Right.
I had one girl tell me like, just do whatever you want, and then I'll tell you afterwards if I liked it. It's like, absolutely not. What are you talking about? I'm not playing sexual minesweeper with you. It's just like people. And it's just like you're not giving me a picture of what's going on up here because like when people say everything, sometimes they mean like I like a little like light choking, and I'm like that's great, but just say that, and that leads. And if you just say one thing, it leads me into like the rest of the conversation. It sets me a base level that I can then explore with you, and then it's like, oh well, if you like this, do you also like this? You know, it's like fucking, it's like a Amazon recommendation. You know, like I'm getting. I have all this stuff in my head that I know that most people that have liked this also like this. Do you? If not, then I won't do it. But like that, at least give me the leading. You can't point an algorithm without a little bit of information, right? And so if you say everything, you're going to get Alibaba. You're not going to get Amazon.
and there's like because there's a serviceable element to it because I'm like more of a service top. I will do that if I know you're into that, and you know, then cool, that's fun. It's exciting to me because like it's hot for me to give something hot to you.
Yeah. The point is that we're both having fun.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not, but like, and so if it's not that, then it's like, I don't get what we're doing here.
Okay.
You know, it's like, I will do something for somebody if they like it, if it's not necessarily my thing, but I don't expect people to be doing something that I like if it's not their thing, I guess.
What was like a favorite kinky activity you enjoyed doing?
Oh, choking. Yeah.
Choking. You're like, this is the best one.
Yeah, 100%. It is. I mean,
Do you like being choked?
no. I remember the first time somebody did try to choke me, I was like, hey, what the fuck? Yeah. She tried to choke me with my chain too. And I was like, hey, fuck, like, you can't use that against me. I'm not like, pain, not for me. Like, because I think it just makes me like angry. Mm-hmm. You know, it activates fight or flight, not like fight or fuck, you know? And it's like, you know, it just makes me want to do more shit to you. It's like, we don't want this feedback loop, you know? We don't want to have like a fight. I mean, I guess if somebody like, but if it's their thing to like, as like a fight back, like if that's like, you know, hey, yeah, that's fine. But like, it's not for me. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. And again, it's one thing. It's like, oh, if it's really good for you, sure, I'll go along. Like, I'm not worried about anybody hurting me. Like, unless I don't think I've ever fucked a bodybuilder, and that's the only person I'd be like concerned about, you know?
I don't know. I've gotten some spanks where I was like, I didn't think this was gonna hurt.
I don't think I have, but
Someone spanked me with a Bible once. I was like, that's just fucking hard.
That's the wrath of God right there.
Yeah, it really fucking was, man.
That New Testament. Yeah,
it was a soft cover. I thought I was safe.
Oh yeah, because that like, it's unexpected.
Yeah,
if they hit the right angle. Yeah.
Yeah,
anything's a tool.
Anything could be a tool. It's that world I try to play in, but it's, you know, like I said, I just do things because that's, I guess, what they want. Anyone ever ask you to do something that was just far too extreme for you?
Not really. I don't think I've been into that crazy. I don't really like anything around my ass, and a lot of people want to do that, and I'm like, if you were like really into it, sure, but like, it's not for me. It's for you.
Yeah.
You know, like, I would have trusted that before I got a bidet either.
Oh.
I don't think the cleanliness was up to par before the bidet. I'm one of those assholes that just does not clean.
Oh, wow.
And like, bidet, fine. Yeah. But like before that, it was just kind of like, it never felt like I was fully done wiping, you know? And so it was just like, you know, you're down there at your own peril, you know?
I like to think about the guy who like was super like anti anyone touching his ass, gets the bidet and goes, I see.
Now I get it.
I see the point.
Yeah.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I don't feel that. I don't know. Not for me. Don't really have anything against it. It's just not like in the realm of sexual pleasure, it's not in there.
Okay.
So
you're also you're a millennial from the Bay Area. Are you part of the poly tribe?
It depends on the person, I would say. My first relationship, part of the reason, like not the whole reason, but like the road to the end of that relationship was fraught with non-monogamy. And so I won't get too into it because I don't want to like talk about her too much.
Okay.
But basically, like, she had expressed that she would like to see me with other women, right? And that's how it started. And I was like, awesome. Of course, I was terrible at meeting other women, so it didn't happen much. I mean, I dated a bi woman for 6 years, never had a three-way. Like, that's how bad I am.
Wow.
Was with women. So, like, to give you that idea. If it was me, if it was this Marty back then, it would have been a different story.
This Marty can make it.
Yeah, but that back then, I was just kind of like, it was also just kind of like, I don't want to deal with this many people, you know? And we were both also like so busy dating each other, it was hard to like even think about it.
Sure.
And so,
but she had a little cuck queen.
Yeah, a little bit of that. But like, because there was like, we were just less familiar with like, you know, like all the roles, and like, I think what she pictured was different than what I pictured. And I don't know, it got confusing. And so, like, basically, I think we just weren't on the same page, right? And so it would get like frustrated sometimes. And then, like, at one point, I'm like, we got into like an argument about it, and she's like, "You think I don't want to fuck other people?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess okay, you can if I'm doing this." But it was more like it almost at that point, it was kind of like, "Oh, did I get like bait and switched into this?" It wasn't my idea, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so, and then that happens, and then
do you think you would have been open if like her initial pitch was just opening up?
Probably not, because like at the time I was pretty comfortable in the relationship. We had a good sex life. I was like, well, I don't need to add to this. Like I've got enough going on.
Yeah, we got all the choking we need right here at home.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What are we going out and shopping around for? Like we're having a good time.
Baby, I don't need any other neck but yours.
I really didn't. She could, anyways. But then it turned into like, I think knowing the terms now, she was picturing polyamory. I was picturing ethical non-monogamy.
Sure.
And so she started like basically like looking for other relationships. And I was like, oh, she's hanging out with these guys a lot. And then it was like, and then it got to the point that I was like, she was hanging out like, and it felt like it got to like the emotional cheating level of like, not everything's being communicated to here. I like got too drunk one night and then like woke up to her, like we went to bed together. She had left in the middle of the morning to go to his place. And I'm like,
and
this
you
is
didn't know.
fucked up. And she's like, and she like just made it sound like it was not a big deal. And like I was like blowing it up. And I was like, no, this is like, I'm upset, and I think she just didn't really care at that point. And then I think, but the actual end of the relationship was not because of that. It was because she decided that she didn't want, kids, didn't want a family.
Okay.
And that was, the stated end of the relationship. But I know that it had a lot to do with that, like her going out and exploring and kind of seeing like this isn't the life I want. And like, seeing, and I was like, well, and at the end of the day, good, because if she didn't want a family and if having kids wasn't right for her, then she shouldn't have. And I'm glad that she saw that. I just, that experience coming out of that was not great. And so it's kind of like, in my mind, it's kind of like, and now I know that this, if I was to have that kind of relationship with someone, the communication would be a lot better for me around it. But there still is a little bit of like a, lingering, fuck, like this is how it went for me last time. I'd be an idiot to do it again.
But it's also mature of you to recognize like that wasn't really why.
Sure.
Because like the outside world, they see a non-monogamous relationship break up and they go like, see, it doesn't work, as opposed to all the monogamous relationships that break up and they find all the other reasons.
No, I mean, I'm sure it is possible. It is reasonable. It's happened plenty. This is a lot of people just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen if it's for me. And again, it's really about the partner. I don't describe myself as polyamorous. I don't describe myself as E&M and like dating apps and stuff like that. Because to me, it's like to go in like that is like, well, then you're kind of saying like, I just feel like nobody is really approaching. If you're going into approach a relationship by saying like I'm polyamorous or I'm E&M, to me it's like, well, that's like you're going into another person with probably two different definitions of what's going to happen, and it's like to just assign one word to it and like say this is right at the gate. Where I say this, the joke I made to a friend recently was that like I feel as like everybody wants to write a resume, not a cover letter anymore for dating, right? Like everybody, like fucking in the kink world, in the polyamorous world, it's just acronym after acronym after fucking word after word that like we're all supposed to have read the same Dan Savage article, and it's like how I'd much rather just use I'd rather have this conversation rather than have us like throw a word at each other and hope it means the same thing.
Everybody wants to just avoid conversations because it's uncomfortable. Everybody wants to avoid conflict. God forbid, like I say something and then you also don't exactly want that thing, and now we'd have to discuss it, and nobody wants to do that. They just want to say the thing and be like, and that means the same thing to you. It's like, so if I'll ask people like, what is non-monogamy? What's your non-monogamy look like?
Yeah, and that comes from me again, my experience of like a relationship that went south, being involved with people with two different definitions of what it meant, and so or two different expectations of what it meant, and so it just kind of in my mind, it's like I don't want to label that. And it's not like, oh, I'm not into labels. It's like, yeah, you label it at some point, but like figure it out first and then label it. I mean, and part of it's me just being like a little bit lazy about it too, of just like I don't want to like fill out this fucking questionnaire.
No, but it sounds like it's not like what you need to do like right now at this point in your dating journey. And
again, it's not like something I'm dead set on. So it's like I don't feel like I have to indicate it to somebody right at the gate as like, oh, this is a deal breaker to you, because it's not a hard non-negotiable for me. So
So, how do you approach being like a single dude, a solo guy out there in the dating world who's not quote unquote looking for something serious? How are you communicating this stuff up front? What sort of pitfalls are you running into?
Not too many pitfalls really. I think nothing in my, I would say that like if the app, I mostly meet people on apps. I meet people
What are
in
you
person
using?
very rarely. I mean, what am I not using?
I don't know.
You probably know more than I do, but the regulars, Hinge, Field, Tinder, Bumble, blah, blah, blah. And then I started throwing myself out there with 3Fun just to see what's going on.
3Fun?
It's like a 3-way app.
Okay.
And then I threw myself up on like FetLife and stuff, but that's I don't really expect to meet anybody on those. No. But it's just kind of like have a profile rather than not. It's free. Fuck it, know. But mostly just that stuff.
Do you really cycle through all those different apps? Like
no, it'll be I'll do like phases.
Okay,
you know what I mean. Like if my plate is full, then I'll just kind of like tone down most entirely. But if I don't know, if I'm like feeling especially like I gotta get out there, I'll go. I'll do all at once, because it's not like I'm like micro reviewing every profile. It's a lot of just
okay,
So, but as far as like how I'm like, if the app offers the opportunity, it's like I think
Tinder's got that new thing where it's like long term open the short term
exactly.
Open the
so
long.
It's like short term open to long is mostly what I'm saying, because I'm not mostly doing one night stands because like that's I'm not really any good at it.
Okay.
Mostly just because like I feel like I enjoy being with people that I can like talk to first and then do the sex thing.
I also like to like learn how your body works, so like on the subsequent dates I can do better. Yeah, it's like I probably will not do my best work the first time.
Yeah, same. And so it's just kind of like I don't want it. To me, like if I'm gonna invest an amount of time in it, I want to like to be worthwhile. Mm-hmm. And so, so that's when I'm kind of, if the app has the option, but otherwise I do try to say like, especially if somebody seems like they're looking for something more serious, I'll just kind of be like, hey, just an FYI, I just moved here. I'm, figuring my life out a bit, just getting my feet under me, not looking for anything serious right now. If we really click, open to the conversation, but for the moment, just kind of keeping things casual, if that's okay with you. And not really a one night stand guy, but also not looking for commitment at the moment. Mm-hmm. Pretty much just trying to be upfront about that. And I've had very few people tell me, no, I don't want to go date with you after that. Because I think, because nothing in my profile indicates I'm looking for anything specific, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. Okay. Especially since we're all on fucking dating apps. It's like, well, if you're on a dating app, it doesn't mean you're looking for something serious. Mm-hmm. So I mean, not that it doesn't mean you're not, but unless you say it, I feel like the absence is more indicative than including something.
Do you ever have to like kind of be mindful about like when you're opening an app to be like, am I opening this because I want to try to like make a new connection, or am I just feeling lonely?
I would say my issue is more I open apps because I'm compulsively on my phone, and it's just one more app to open at a certain point.
Any wild besides fucking almost a naked comedy show second day? Any wild early date stories?
I mean,
lately?
I did take a girl did. She was like moving soon, so we knew this was a short term thing, but. We did do the rope tying, like the shibari class at Hacienda.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
And like the 101 as a first date.
But that kind of is, if you both have a mutual interest and are spicy. Yeah. That's a good first date.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
It's not nude, right?
It was like clearly we knew like what was going to happen after, but it was still kind of like a fun thing for both of us to do. Yeah. So that was, I would say, like the spiciest first date. I would say that.
You get an opportunity to like test having hands on the body. Did you both tie each other up or just one way? Yeah. So you both get to have an opportunity, like in a like consensual and like low stakes way, test what's it feel like when I have my hands on his body. What's it like when his hands are on my body? Like, is there a spark and charge? Because at the end of the class, if there's no charge, if there's no spark,
Yeah, if you got nothing, then
you're like, well,
you
we
really got nothing.
we got nothing, but we both learned a new skill.
yeah. Now I can tie people up.
Yeah, now we'll take that to the next date or whatever.
Yeah. And so yeah, that was fun. And she was cool, and yeah, it was kind of funny though, like because she like we were like, all right, let's meet an hour beforehand so we can have a conversation before this, but then like. She was late, and then we had to like walk over. So we only got like half an hour of conversation before we started like tying each other up. I was like, all right, and the walk over, I guess.
Yeah,
but it was. I mean, we had like you'd chatted on the phone before, but it's different. You want to meet in person.
Oh, you did do a phone?
No. I mean, like text.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't like the phone. Since COVID, I feel like a lot of people want to do like a
video
phone
date.
call. Yeah,
I haven't done any of that.
Girl, the one would be like, "Oh, I don't want to waste my time." I'd be like, "We'll pick a coffee shop near your place. You won't waste. You're gonna because if the video chat's not fun, how's that not a waste of your time either? Why? Because you have to get done up. Don't get done up. I'll save you the travel time. Wear what you want, but like
especially like this is dating in your 30s. We don't have to fucking like. Don't put on your best face. Put on your normal face.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to be seeing more of if we see each other a lot. And what I prefer to see more of, honestly. But I mean, I know everyone wants to make a great first impression, but it's like, I want to give you my best, most realistic first impression. So it's like, and not like I'm going to show up looking slovenly, but I'm not putting on a dress shirt to go get coffee.
Yeah.
Like we're just going to wear a t-shirt, be casual.
But you also don't need to optimize all your time to make sure like when you go out the door, like this is definitely going to be, it's like, I want to make sure we have spark. All right, we'll find out. I promise.
Yeah.
You can, you can leave in 30 minutes. If you don't like it, just leave.
If you're not feeling it,
you don't have to stay for 3 hours on a date. On the first hour you're not into.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of like now doing like lunch or coffee first date for somebody that you aren't like sure about. Because some people it's like, you have a rapport on the text and it's like, oh, okay, like I have a pretty good feeling this is worth an evening.
Yeah.
But if you're not sure, just keep it casual for the first one. But not everyone likes to do that. It's preferences, but if you can get them into it, it's great.
I'm a big proponent of don't be afraid to end a date when you know for sure like not into it. Like you don't have to wait till you're done with the date. Yeah. You don't have to order another drink. You can just be like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I for me, by the time we're on if we're on a date, it means I've already got an inkling that like we'll get along in some capacity, right? Now, if it's not a sexual capacity, that's fine too, because now I'm new in the city. I am looking to make friends, and it's like, oh, even if we're not trying to fuck, like it's still like we had similar enough interests. Like hopefully we can still hang out sometime, and like Now I have a bringer for a comedy show.
I swear to God, if you do a single fucking bringer, I will choke you out in a non-sexual way.
It's all just people I've been on dates with.
I had to fucking talk Claire because Claire's newer, but like I finally convinced her like no more bringers. We're like you can do one a year if you want to tape. But, I had to like really
industry
fucking
room
bully
made
her
sense
out of that
because
shit.
it was like, oh, let's do that just to like try to get in with a club. But I don't understand like doing multiple industry room.
Well, some people they're just addicted to if that's the only way they get like anything that looks like meaningful stage time.
Yeah.
And then they get she was doing like a lot of them, and I had to be doing intervention.
You're
be like,
gonna burn a lot of bridges. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, I said your friends are going to come to your good shows later because they came to watch you be on a lineup of 15 people too many times.
Yeah.
Keep bringing them to the naked show. At least I pay you extra for that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, before we go, how do you find the naked comedy show to be?
Great. I sing its praises to everybody. I mean, you do book it well. The lineups are great. And the room is like a fantastic comedy room, like layout wise. It's really the ideal low ceiling, wide, short room. And then the audiences are fun. I mean, the first time I did it, I think we talked about like the audience was a little more tight than we would have liked. And
do you remember what month? Which
it was
one?
August.
Yeah. They were kind of clothed.
Yeah, that I think when you said that, I was like, oh, like I didn't have a frame of reference. And then I did the second one, and like everyone was fucking naked, and they were way more fun. I was like, okay, I see what he means. Like, it is like I I would say that the show probably, and you probably know better than me, but it seems like it probably attracts people that maybe necessarily aren't comedy fans, but they're looking for a fun, interesting thing to do as a night out, and especially something that's been written about and done as much as your show has. It like, oh, this presents itself as like, this is a cool Brooklyn thing to do, right? It's comedy for New York, but it's Brooklyn and weird, so it's naked.
Yeah.
And so it's
in
like,
an orgy basement.
In an orgy basement, like, this is the weirdest thing, this is the craziest thing we could do tonight. And so they go there, and it's like, yeah, they're maybe not necessarily comedy fans, they aren't like raucous laughters, but they're having a good time. I think that's what I remember from the first show, is that like everyone seemed to have a good time. They just weren't like, what you want as a comic is like this crazy, energetic, fun crowd.
Yeah.
And so, but I still had a great time, and then, the second one was tons of fun.
And there was no, like, how'd you feel like going up
Oh,
naked?
going up naked? I'm pretty comfortable with my body. So I was like, I think I had like a little bit of nerves the first time, but like once I got into like that swing on stage, I remember the only time that, I do like, I can like watch the tape back and just be like, I can like clearly hear when I like kind of fumble over something because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm naked, like that'll happen in my brain. But I think the only time that really kind of like the first time was when a joke hit so well that like I kind of felt it tingle down there. And I was like, oh no.
You could be you could have been our first boner on stage.
So I did when we did the Skankfest naked roast.
Oh, you did that?
I did that.
Oh, nice.
In September. Me and the other guy both took a Blue Chew before we went on stage. And it didn't do anything.
Does nothing.
And I was like, well, you still, because a Blue Chew, like that kind of, you still have to have some kind of stimulation. Whereas if you do like a Viagra, that'll typically just do it.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same.
So I understood the difference is that like
there's no such thing as
stimulation.
There's no such thing as like a take pill boner. You have to just you don't necessarily need stimulation. You just have to be in a state of arousal.
Sure. And
stimulation can do that, but you have to get there.
Yeah, I was not aroused.
Yeah. All it does is make it easier
to
get the boner. But it'll also keep it there like longer.
Yeah.
So like the way to do it is like you'd have to go to the bathroom, collect yourself, get the boner, get aroused, let yourself be aroused, then go on stage. The boner will probably stay longer even after you lose some mental arousal.
And after watching like, all the other judges go up naked and like Zach Amico do his whole like crazy entrance, I'm like,
would he staple something to his nutsack?
He did not at that point. He did later. But like he did like a whole like Bray Wyatt entrance as like a tribute to Bray Wyatt, who had just passed away as a wrestler. Okay. And I was like, this is maybe the least arousing thing I could think of. And so I'm like, I'm out. I'm good. But it's fine to not have a boner for this. It'll still be funny.
The naked roast battles are fucking brutal though, because like, man, like I've done twice. Undefeated, no big deal. But the first one, we both basically lost. I just lost less.
Yeah. Ours was good because the guy I was against was, I knew him actually from Sacramento. Okay. He's a good roast battle guy. And so we had a good rapport. And he also doesn't have any feet. So, the jokes wrote themselves.
Does he not have legs? He just doesn't have feet.
It's like cut off like below like the tibia, I guess.
So did he have like? Does he got like?
He's got like the Blade Runner lens.
Oh, he's got those.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, but he took them off on stage, and was standing on the stumps, and it was so fucking funny. And I told them like. I was like, when he took those off, I said he looked like the fucking sea captain from Family Guy. and I was like, I started singing the Lollipop Guild song and like kicking my legs. And then he started kicking the stumps and I fucking died laughing. I think my best joke from that was, there's two. I said Logan's wife divorced him and now she's dating a black guy because she's used to being with 3/5 of a man.
Fuck, man.
And the other one was because he lost the legs, he got run over by a train, which is hilarious because he was in the military and then he didn't lose him in like battle or
That's
anything.
weird. I thought he was a woman in 1892.
Yeah. But so I said he lost him in a train that was far from the last train he had run on him. Okay. So
well, I'm glad that you're enjoying adding nudity to some comedy. You've been a great addition.
It's my fucking
to
brand
the show.
now.
Oh, fuck.
Well, because it's funny because it's like the first thing that people see when they look on my Instagram. It's like, wait a second, is he naked?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm trying to find. I got to get more
non-naked clips.
non-naked clip. Well, the problem is I got like these non-naked spots. Normal spots. I have spots.
Yeah, when you say
the spot is supposed to be the norm.
Yeah, right.
The naked spot's the thing that needs the qualifier.
Yeah.
But like I get spots, but then they're not very tapeable rooms or shows.
Sure, yeah.
Like I do a show on Wednesday and like I had a super fun time, but it was 5 people.
Yeah.
But like they were a great 5 people, but you're not making a clip from that.
Yeah.
So I don't have enough of the normal clips that I'm like, people need to know that I do close comedy. You got that email I sent where I was like, hey guys, I
Please.
just in case you don't know me that well, like I do comedy with my pants on like most of the time. So just let that be known.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would love to do those shows as well.
Yeah.
Marty, man, thanks for making time to chat and
this is fun.
sharing about yourself.
So deep.
We like to get there. I like to think that this is a podcast where I like to take really funny comedians and let them be not funny at all.
I killed it then.
Great. No, you did awesome. Dude, where can go on top? You're doing March or February?
February.
You're doing so. Marty will be at the
23rd.
the February 23rd Naked Comedy Show.
Second date.
The 10 o'clock show.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So come out see Marty on February 23rd. But you also run some shows here in New York City yourself.
Yep.
You've got
Thursday
social
night
media.
at Talon Bar in Bushwick, and Friday nights at QED in Astoria, 11 p.m. It's a late show, so if you want to grab a drink on your way home or on your way out, it's a good show. Marty Cunnie Comedy on all social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I got Reddit, a lot of Reddit going on too now. People like Reddit. Posting on Reddit, people really fucking engage on there. So,
as well as naked reels.
Yeah, I did post the naked roast one. It was pretty funny how many people in the comments were like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Oh yeah, that's always the thing. It's like, is this dude like in TikTok? It'll be like, is this dude naked? And I'd be like, oh, I gotta.
No, I'm fucking. Yeah, this is a bodysuit.
I wear a black bar.
Yeah, what are you
walking
talking
around.
about? Yeah.
Well, Marty, man, thanks for chatting with us, and why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
All right, thanks everyone. Man, whore it up. Have fun out there.
The best place to share your thoughts on this week's show is in the episode discussion channel in the Champagne Room. The Champagne Room is our super free, super fun, super sex positive Discord server where you can discuss this week's episode, share some slutty sex stories, or nerd out about gaming and music. We even have an entire channel just about parenting. I'm not in that one very often, but there seems to be a nice little community in there. Join the conversations today. Make new internet friends now at manwhorepod.com/Discord or click the link in the schnotes. You can also email me your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your titty pictures to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Los Angeles, by the way, LA whores, if you're still listening, I got a couple shows while I'm in town tonight. January 31st, I'm at Knucklehead at 9 p.m. And then Friday, I'm going to be doing a backyard show. And if you go to manwhorepod.com, you'll see a link to where you can get more information. Last but certainly not least, the best place you can support the Man Whore Podcast is on Patreon. It's the best way to make sure that Billy's bills are still paid so I can keep doing what you love to listen to. And today, as you're hearing this, January 31st, today is the final day that you can sign up for a 7-day free trial. Yes, you can try my 300 plus bonus episodes for free. You can check out my behind the scenes content for free. You can enjoy those Discord benefits for free if you sign up today, January 31st at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Seriously, it's just, you don't got $2. If you listen to this whole thing and you liked it, you don't think I should get $2? The only reason you should think that I don't deserve $2 is if you think I deserve $5. Otherwise, cough it up. Don't make me come back around here again for this, okay? Okay? As my Uncle Joe Vito probably told someone while holding a baseball bat. I don't know. I don't know the story. I'm told he's just a taxi driver, but who knows? That could have been code as a kid. But seriously, join the Patreon, okay? Come on, $2. It's $2. You think I deserve more? You don't got it now? It's okay. You can get me later. Get the $2 now. Patreon. Schnotes. independent content creators. Stay slutty.